So yeah, Norman went a little different this time. So incumbent Mayor Bria Clark was defeated by Larry Heikkila. I'm not even sure how you say it, to be honest, but whatever. Larry won, 53-46, 47, 53-47 roughly. And so, it's always tricky. And I was saying this to some folks offline during Tuesday. When you're in a like 4 or 5-way primary, it's really kind of scary, especially if you're the incumbent. It's really scary to be the first place person because that means all those other folks that didn't get you over 50% all voted against you. And so it usually means there's like something going on with the electorate or with you as a candidate that folks weren't super enthusiastic, because otherwise they would have just voted for you and you would have won outright the first time. So anyway, she got 36% in the primary. So she made it to the runoff, but then obviously Larry came in on top. This, of course, leads to all sorts of hot takes and reactions and, explanations about why this was. I would say, and this is based on like Larry's speech afterwards. He talked about making Norman more conservative, and he thanked his Lord and Savior because obviously God has a hand in all elections, according to some folks, but only when it goes their way. That's the only caveat. And basically it came down to like kind of a few big issues, and that would probably be the police issue, and homelessness, development type issues. How do we deal with our problems? And then, of course, just how people felt about the candidates. And so there was an anti-incumbency vibe, I guess you could say, especially based on like reacts I got from people on Twitter and other stuff. But I want to talk mostly about the policing issue because I think it was like misrepresented. And so we had Bria on this program, gosh, I don't know, before the primary. So back in February or maybe late January. And, she's like a nice person, right? Like she's just like a moderate, sort of left of center, just standard Democratic type candidate, I mean, definitely not defund the police, definitely not like super radical. I mean, just not like, like, do I think she cares about homeless people? Do I think she thinks the police shouldn't be really violent with our citizens? Like, yeah, generally, but she's not like out there like hardcore activist about it. And so the reaction by like Unite Norman and these other groups is like super extreme. And so kind of what's driving me to say all this is, of course, Reese Gorman, he used to be a Norman transcript, and he's like the ultimate factor, which is a bold statement, in Bria's loss is this: Norman, while blue for red Oklahoma, is not a liberal city. Rather, it is liberal in comparison to the surrounding area. And in actuality, Norman is a moderate city that leans slightly left. She simply misread the electorate. And like, and then of course, Steve Lackmeyer, who had me blocked, so he unblocked me. He doesn't follow us, but he definitely unblocked my account, unblocked this account. So I don't know what that says. Personal growth, like whatever. He mentions that like quite a few people, including Barack Obama, have said defund the police is bad branding, a phrase used in Norman, definitely not by Bria Clark. And if you were to call it reform instead, would the electorate have turned out differently? Yeah, and then of course, thank you, Brian, for saying this. And anyway, there's a whole thread there that you're welcome to check out. But like the short of it is like they never defunded police. Like that never occurred. It did not happen. And the only way it got branded that was because these freaks from Unite Norman came out, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, tried to recall her, spent all this time and energy claiming she did something she definitely did not do. Like she reallocated part of an increase to like social services, which if you read any polling on this issue is very popular, and even Republicans generally support it. She never said defund. She never defunded. She just, yeah. So anyway, this is a very frustrating race for a lot of reasons, but like I said, she ran as moderate. Larry hit his true nature and backers, and by this logic, and maybe this is honestly the more correct take, Norman is a deeply racist city that believes cops should kill with impunity and the homeless should die in the streets. that is who backed Larry, because that is who backed Larry. Like, Unite Norman, Pat McFerrin was his consultant. Pat McFerrin is the beneficiary for Unite Norman. It all comes full circle.
So yeah, I guess because of all this, we'll see an increase in discussions about homelessness populations in Norman and how they may or may not contribute to issues that they see. I know that the E. coli outbreak that they had in May of last year, some group was trying to blame a homelessness camp that had been broken up because they had removed, I believe, like 70 tons of just like waste and materials. And it had been misconstrued that it was all just human waste, like actual, like,
Right.
yeah. And so that's been, debunked. Like the E. coli outbreak had absolutely nothing to do that. It's just going to increase this incorrect fear around the homelessness community in Norman, which is already suffering tremendously. So
I
we'll
mean,
keep a close eye.
yeah, I mean, I was having a discussion with a shopkeeper in Norman, and, they mentioned having to clean up stuff from people who were suffering from homelessness. And, my thing is like, if you have shelters, if you have bathrooms, if you have, like, they will utilize those. Like, I don't think anybody is like jonesing to, like, go to the bathroom in the street, or, die of exposure when it's freezing cold out or super hot out. Like, this is a symptom of like a bigger problem in our society. So anyway, and, again, going back to who's really behind Larry, Sasan, who is a developer in Norman, who started Unite Norman, threatened to throw a brick at some kids when they showed up to a meeting of Unite Norman. I mean, this dude's a unhinged psychopath. He's out there now trying to protest, building shelters by changing how the city votes on it, and, makes it, like, puts it to a vote of the people whether or not they build a homeless shelter. Just trying to, like, give an opportunity to sow fear and whatever else. Like, so it's extremely, like, these people are ultra bad faith. They don't, I mean, Sasan's a gazillionaire who is mad because he didn't get some development deal from the city of Norman, probably under Mayor Clark. And now this is his revenge, is to spend his money in a municipal race demonizing homeless people. Like, this is who backs Larry. Like, these are the people. And I don't know, maybe that is Norman, but I don't think that's Oklahomans generally. I mean, like, if you explain to Oklahomans, like, hey, we can have people go to the bathroom outside or suffer and die in the streets, or we can, spend, like, pennies on the dollar and build some shelters, build some places that will help them. Like, I just have to believe the average Oklahoman would be like, yeah, that sounds okay. Like, I just have to. Like, I just cannot believe that we are that just evil, like, to just let our fellow people die in the streets. But I don't know. I mean, maybe we are. I don't know. But I think my point is we gotta make it clear that's who this Larry guy is, and that's who he will be. Like, he will absolutely make that the way we respond to homelessness, is further criminalizing it, further demonizing it, further, just making it awful. So,
Just more of a reason to avoid Norman at all costs, except for the medieval fair and Norman Music Fest. So, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. Norman has never felt like an inclusive place. I lived there for maybe close to 2 years, and even like people of color friends that I have that grew up in Norman, it's just not a safe place, particularly for people of color, for homeless people, for women. I know
Yeah.
Norman has atrociously high crime rates. So we'll see if that gets better with, I don't know if he's going to increase the funding for the police since he's concerned that it was defunded when we know it wasn't. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a mess.
So yeah, and I mean, some of the other reacts I heard were people just didn't like Bria Clark, and like, I get it. Like, I get not liking politicians. There are plenty that I don't like, but I do find some of that just extremely weird, because it's like, you're not marrying this person. Like, you're not voting to, like, have them be your full-time house guest, or I don't know. Like, I don't know what you think. Like, you're voting for them to implement policies. And like, when thoughtful, educated people look at a race like that and say like, well, Bria's not nice, or, like, one, I think it's sexist in many ways, because I'm sure, like, if we knew what Larry's like all the time, like, he may not be a great guy. But also just, like, it's so annoying to me. But here we are. So anyway, yeah, here's our thread. I don't know. You can go check our Twitter. Like, we did an interview with her. Like, I struggle to see what everyone gets so up in arms about. But Unite Norman ultimately is a deeply reactionary thing. Already in many of the articles about Larry, like, the really psycho guys like Richard Tortorello, or however you say his name, like, I mean, or Richard, I guess is how he goes, what he goes by. But anyway, like, they're already like planning for the next round of city council elections. I mean, they want to like make Norman great again. So, I mean, if that's what folks want, like, that's what you're about to get. So, just a good argument to do deeper organizing in Norman, really figure out what people care about, and fight back, because otherwise you're going to get just a bunch of dumb BS for the next few years. Thanks for watching our video. Please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more content. If you want to engage with us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram.